Welcome to a football show here on the 440 Sports Network, brought to you by Sinkers Beverages. That is the great Paul Kuharsky. I am Braden Gall. The Titans win a preseason game again, but once again, the Titans starters struggle against not starting players in a football game that technically counted. Paul, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well. Good summary. I mean, for a 2-0 team in the preseason, they get a lot of issues.
You don't really care about the final score, do you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. So I think there is a way to look at each drive, each quarter, each chunk of time where there's starting players or not starting players or backups, or even in the second half, and you can say, look, there was good here, there was bad here, but I don't think the final score matters. I rarely think anything that happens in a second half of a preseason game actually matters. So we will obviously focus heavily today on what took place against Seattle, the defending champions, when Cam Ward played, which is the first three drives on offense, when the starters played on defense, which is the first quarter and a half ballpark, and some change as they kind of started to rotate pieces out. There are a few bright spots. There are a few players that we want to talk about, a few things we want to talk about. We'll get to that in the middle. So we'll talk mostly about the game against Seattle packaged with the practice on Friday and sort of a combination of what it tells us now through 2 weeks of the preseason. And then at the end, maybe are we starting to solidify any of our ideas, concepts, beliefs about what this team could be in 2026? So a lot of stuff to get to. If you want to get in and you want to ask questions and you want to steer the conversation, we'd love to have you. Please make sure you do that. Bustin' Diamond already in the comment section here. Are we worried more about Cam Ward's unexciting game, an almost mistake, or the starting defense making Curtis Rourke and Drew Lock look like Joe Montana and John Elway? Very detailed question, Bustin', and we'll get to that coming up momentarily. Sinkers Beverages, of course, make sure you support good local businesses like paulkarsky.com and 440, but also Sinkers, 5-time liquor store of the year. They have a craft beer fridge right there to the right when you walk in that is filled with local brews like East Nashville Beer Works, like Tennessee Brew Works, all kinds of great local craft beer, so make sure you support local breweries as well. They've got a THC corner. They've got a mocktail section. They've got a huge wine selection, very knowledgeable staff. The top shelf bourbon right now is excellent. They've got really good stock, so make sure you go check that out. Really excellent barrel picks on tequila as well, which I didn't even know you could do. So lots of really cool stuff at Sinkers Beverages. Great for gift ideas if you got something small you need to give somebody at the office or around the house or a friend of yours or whatever it might be. Make sure you check out all their merch and their barware. They're like a full-service liquor store, so go check them out. Local business, award-winning. So you should support them as well. They support us, and they keep this show free for all of you guys, so you guys should go support them. All right, this just feels the same as the last 2 years. That might sum it all up right there, RJ. They look horrible. We'll get to the details of all of this. Let's back up. Just the game itself first. Let's start just first half, PK. How would you use adjectives for me to describe how you felt coming out of the first half of that football game?
Well, I was disappointed that they didn't do much better than they did in Santa Clara. And I thought, it's going to need to be a clear improvement over what they did in Santa Clara. Look, I get that a lot of people are immediately talked down by Robert Saleh, particularly on offense. Let's go offense. Says, look, we're running vanilla stuff here. If we wanted to target Carnell Tate to make sure he got a reception or two, we certainly could, but that's not what we're doing. And I thought Cam Ward very reasonably said, the thing we need to do next is layer some of the big plays on top of some of the successful stuff we're doing underneath. Outside of the 33-yard, I believe it was, catch and run by Tony Pollard, which surely was completed less than 10 yards, Cam Ward threw nothing that went for longer than 9 yards. And you're not going to win many football games doing just that. Now, people are going to say, well, his receivers let him down. Tate had the drop, and Helm didn't get his feet down, and Io Manor got robbed of the pass interference. I'm going to counter and say he needs to throw the ball to Helm earlier and more inside, and Helm needs to do better work with it, partly on Cam. The pass to Tate should have been caught, but it was a bit high and, could have been a better thrown ball. And the ball to Io Manor that should have been a pass interference, granted, but wouldn't have gone on Cam's passing statistics, hit the DB in the back, and there was room for it to go over the DB and be caught by Alec Iomaner. So on all three of those accounts, I'll argue playing vanilla, he could have thrown more precise balls and been more effective. And I was walking out of the stadium last night, just kind of, excuse me, trying to calculate what those plays were worth. I think it was worth at least 70 yards of offense, probably more, maybe 90. And that would have made a huge difference in the game. The Helm play would have flipped the field. The Iomaner play probably would have flipped the field. The Tate play, I think, is a 15, 18-yard play there. If you're not going to make those kind of precise plays, vanilla or not, I mean, I think those are the kind of plays the Titans are going to have to find, whether they're vanilla or not, in scheme or out of scheme. And they can't find them right now. And I think that's a big concern.
I think broadly speaking, I totally agree with you. They got to figure out ways to make plays. I do buy into we've been very vanilla in the 2 preseason games, offense and defense. I think that is intentional, and I think that doesn't mean you want to see bad performances or to watch back-to-back sets of backups take care of both of your units, offense and defense. That's all bad stuff. But I do think that the context is accurate, that I feel like offensively and defensively more so against San Francisco, and offensively more so that they are intentionally doing very basic stuff. Now, in the practices where they have looked better than the games, in both weeks,
instances,
they have done more things, especially on defense with Sam Darnold, who came out of the practice saying, man, they disguised their coverages really well. Their front seven did a good job. They pressured the run. Like, all that stuff is what they did in practice. Same thing, sort of, against San Francisco. So we'll have to see. That there's no way to know if that's an excuse or if that's a reason at this point. Now, I want to go back to those throws that you're talking about, because I thought he was good on the short, quick stuff. He actually looked even a little bit more in rhythm. Wandell, I think he threw another one to Bellinger later in the game. But the throws that you're speaking of there, I will totally agree with you on the Iomaner throw. They got a little hose there on the call. They did get a 50-50 call later in the game that helped them, that sort of in that same situation. It would have been a first down. It was on third down. I like the process, though, on this, because Cam Ward gets to the line of scrimmage with about 11 seconds to go in the play clock, and he clearly checks based on a matchup, because Alec Iomaner was being guarded by a linebacker. So he sees that, and he checks the play to get the right call. He gets the right call. He makes the right read. Alec wins one-on-one and has a couple yards of separation. He's got to put that a little bit, even though it should have been PI, he's got to put that a little bit further up and outside, which is where he has been inaccurate. And I am curious if he's underthrowing that to some degree because he is worried about being inaccurate down the field and outside the numbers. So it all kind of works together. The other two, I will disagree a little bit on. You are a professional athlete who plays tight end and receiver in the NFL. When the ball hits you in the hands, you got to catch it. Okay,
well, Helm caught it. It was a matter of it carrying him too far out.
Not a catch. Not a catch. You got to catch the football on those two passes.
People agreed, though. I mean, Saleh gave him an out and said it's a pretty damn tough play. Nobody talked to Helm that I know about. Maybe Suss did. But I thought he was a little nonchalant about it. I thought he could have done better with it, but I also think could have been earlier.
Look, if you want to nitpick and say he could have thrown it 3 inches shorter to Tate or a half second, that's fine. I'm not going to fight you on that. But Gunnar Helm, dude, all you needed was 1 inch on the toe and you're in. You got to sell out to get your feet in bounds. And Tate, it hit him in the hands. Like, you got to make the catch, dude. What is the thing that Tate does well is make that catch normally. Now, again, I'm also not panicking here at all. I think people need to this is the preseason, guys. Like, if they are losing consistently every time and we get to week 5 or 6 or 7 and Cam Ward is still making the mistakes he made against San Francisco, then we got a major problem. But I thought Cam Ward was better in this game than he was last week. Now, you could say this is a concern or this is a good thing. I don't know. Cam looked like he made progress. The problem is the rest of the team around him did not. The offensive line, Carmona, granted, is a rookie, got totally blown up on the fourth down in their own possession. Schlotman then did not have a good reach block on that play either. It looked like the two guys that they've been running behind actually failed them in that moment. The linebackers had free run to take Spears out, and he couldn't get the first down. So the offensive line failed him on that play. The receiving core, we talked about this. Like, I thought Cam had one really bad overthrow to Tate on a long crossing route to the right, but I don't think the receivers did him any favor either. So I think the rest of the team around Cam, which again, this is a bad thing, I think would you would have to say took a step back from their performance in the first 3 drives against San Francisco. But I think Cam took a step forward. So I just think we just got to see what it looks like. But I think broadly speaking, I agree with your point, which is eventually you have to make plays. You got to make plays. And
he also was turning guys around. Sharp, he turned
That's true.
around on a
That's true.
short thing. Helm on the one he dropped wasn't Helm should catch it, but he's got to put him in a better spot. I think there was one more who I can't remember who it was.
Well, in the Helm,
and
one,
I was talking to Blake Bedingfield about this. They're not thrown in yak position.
Yeah.
Now Saleh said some of those are throwing guys into the better defensive position. I'd like to be on the front foot there and get a guy into a yak position instead of be thinking about. I mean, if you're thinking about defending a guy when you're throwing these short, quick passes, you're in trouble at the snap.
I think because the one they threw behind Helm where Helm gets crushed and he drops it was actually a holding call, I think, on Schlotman. So it actually ended up going back to like 1st and 20 on that play. So it didn't quote unquote cost him, but I guarantee you Gunnar Helm felt it. So you got to be careful with that stuff pre-snap. If you're talking about what were the things that we felt concerned about with Cam Ward coming out of game 1 against the Niners, rushing the process, maybe waiting too long with the process, inaccuracy, whatever. I do think those things were all better. All that stuff was better.
And certainly it was better Friday. Friday, they looked good against the ones. So that's kind of inexplicable as to why you go look bad against the twos. Daniel Caribbean here asking, I see Andre James scored much better than Schlotman. Have I seen that in practice? Andre James is scoring much better because he's going against 3s and 4s. And Schlotman's going against 2s who are playing apparently out of their mind. But I'm not putting stock into Andre James against 3s and 4s.
I think – no, I agree with that. I also think – and I think Blake said this on your site. There's just questions about the depth along the offensive line, the swing tackle. Volson has been a disappointment, I would say.
Deckless is horrific. I mean, he's not
been
on the team. They're putting their eggs in the Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon basket or finding somebody basket. And Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, his body is better, but is he ready? Probably not. And this led a lot of us. We had a conversation recently on the sideline about, now I'm going to forget his name, Tony Udo. That guy was a major upgrade at third tackle. And he got about $3 million. I can't remember where he went. But
would have been better money better spent than on Deckless for sure.
Yeah, and even if Brasillo somehow doesn't like him, you got to acknowledge that he's better than Deckless and Crenshaw-Dixon at the start. And I don't understand why you don't invest $3 million in that.
No, I totally agree. So I do think. Like, again, I think Latham, you and I have talked a lot about J.C. Latham, and I'm not getting into the positive territory here yet, but I do think it's another positive step for him. The mentality, the practice Friday, he was very good. I think, Skoronski's still excellent. Carmona is going to – I think what happens is we get excited about something, fans, media, whatever, and you do have to kind of step back and go, Fernando Carmona has not played an NFL game yet. Like, he's going to have moments where he gets blown up on 4th and 1. Like, it's just gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and so it's not good. It's not an excuse, but this is a guy who was not supposed to be a starting offensive lineman as a 5th-round pick right away, and he's overachieving still, broadly speaking. And so while it might have been disappointing, you got to still kind of acknowledge where he's at in his progress, which is way ahead of schedule.
Yeah, I agree. People are getting excited about Cody Ford. I mean, if the Bengals, who I'm sure don't have great offensive line depth, are releasing Cody Ford, I wouldn't get too excited about him. To the person with the Titans radio comment, I mean, I think Titans radio is probably at an all-time low right now, and the homerism factor is at all-time high. So
I mean, losing Mike Keith and Coach Mack is you can't match that. It's impossible to match that quality. There's no question about that. Is Femi Oladejo an NFL player. I think he absolutely is. Says PXHAB. Nice handle there. But obviously the face mask on a running play was one of the more dangerous face masks I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, he'll be getting fined for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's a question of what Oladejo can do against the pass. I think he should be a solid, stout run defender.
I think the offensive line depth is a major question. I think it's worth talking about, but I think the starting five still has a chance to be better than we expected at the start of camp.
I agree.
Is that fair? I don't know if that's the right way to say it. Anything else you want to add on Cam? There's one thing I want to talk. I want to talk about third downs because I think that's obviously the money down. And I kind of went back and I looked at everyone against San Francisco as well, and I think he's been better, and the offense has been better. Now some of it's not their doing on on third down than we think, because I know you mentioned I think they were 2 of 8 in the first half against Seattle on third down. But if you look at if you go back and chart all of it, when they are at 3rd and 5 or less so far in 2 games, again only 6 drives, but 3rd and 5 or less, twice on the first drive against San Francisco, they picked up 18 yards on a crosser to Ridley. They picked up 16 yards, they picked up 5 yards on the running play to Pollard, which ended up being a touchdown. On Sunday, they picked up 33 yards on a 3rd and 5 to the Pollard throw you talked about. They've been productive with 2 first downs and a touchdown on 3rd and short. The other ones are 10 yards, 11 yards, 14 yards, 10 yards, 11 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards, and 7 yards. Like, he is not in good situations. Like, he has not been put in good situations. They've gotten first downs 6 times out of those 11. 5 first downs and a touchdown. 2 of those were penalties, so you gotta acknowledge that. And the other 3rd and short, which is the one that was the throw to the Spears, where it was behind him and he couldn't pick up the first down, which led to the turnover on downs on the next play. My point is I think they've been better on third down than it feels, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
And honestly, one of the incompletions was the Io Manor pass on 3rd and 7 that should have been a first down with pass interference. So, again, could the throw have been better? I agree. I think we need to not – I think maybe the lesson I'm taking from all of this is Cam showed progress. The rest of the offense maybe step back a little bit. They've been – they've won both games. They've been solid, better on third down than you think. Let's see what happens in the practice. They've been better in the practices. Let's see about the Bears. Let's see what happens before we go losing our minds about everything.
I like this guy in here named Cam Ward 1045. So he's naming himself after a quarterback that he's insulting and after a Homer radio station. Put him up. We got to be honest. Cam Ward's ceiling is mediocrity. I mean, people's willingness to make a declaration after 17 regular season games and 2 vanilla preseason games just never ceases to astound me. Maybe it is. And then you'll come back and say, I told you so. And I'll say, you told me so with 17 games of evidence, and you need, if not 34, 27.
All right, let's get to the other side of the ball here, because I think this is actually more concerning. I think the offense we knew was going to take time. I think there's some pieces there. We'll see what happens. Mediocrity, are most NFL quarterbacks average? I don't, maybe. Are only a handful of them elite? Yeah. Are another chunk of them really, really good? And is Cam going to be in that group? Maybe not. Who knows? How good do you need to be to win a Super Bowl or compete for the division? I think it goes without saying. Like, each team is a different situation. Each player is different. So I don't know. I think it's too early to make any statements. Here, let's go to the defense here, because that I think is actually slightly more concerning, because we knew that they ran a really vanilla secondary and a really vanilla approach to coverage against San Francisco. It seemed like they did a much better job in practice against Seattle, but then they came out and the run defense was the problem, and around the line of scrimmage was the problem. Kevin Winston, my guy, breaks early, overzealous.
Yeah, bad night, I thought.
Overzealous in multiple situations that led to both touchdowns and big explosive plays. Cody Barton is like, there's a third down crossing route, a quick out route to Arroyo, where he takes a totally bad angle and has no chance to make the play, and then Arroyo picks up like 12 or 15 yards. He is the one who is blocked by the tight end in the hole that leads to the long touchdown run. And then Anthony Hill goes on to have this really excellent and productive game against granted 3rd and 4th stringers. So I don't know what you make of the defense writ large, because Curtis Rourke's a third stringer, and Drew Lock's a second stringer, and no starting offensive pieces at all. It's still the Super Bowl champions, but no starting offensive pieces in this game, and they went down the field twice pretty easily.
And between the two of those quarterbacks, 24 of 28, Drew Lock and Curtis Rourke against primarily the Titans' first-team defense. I mean, how is that not a concern? No matter how much vanilla defense you're playing. Here's my single biggest concern out of last night defensively, and I hate to go back to this. I hate to go back to it.
I know.
I really do. I thought it was over. I thought it was over. Brandon.
What? Why are you taking shots at me in the middle of your take?
I thought it was over. Can you guess what it is?
Well, I was going to go pass rush, but now I think it's different.
It's Jeffrey Simmons.
Okay.
How'd you feel about how the first team defense played tonight? It was solid for the most part. Here's the thing, where he takes two giant plays and throws them away and says, well, outside of those two plays that would have lost us any game that we were in, we were good. We were good. You just can't take a knife and excise the two plays that killed the defensive effort when they're 60-something yard plays that result in touchdowns and just casually gloss over them. I cannot stand it. And I thought he was past it. And when I saw this on the quote sheet last night, which was a tough night to work, nobody wants to hear about it, but we got Saleh was running a little bit late. Cam came in quickly on Saleh's heels, which I appreciate because he's been making us wait forever. And then we got to the locker room and there's nobody in there. They brought Anthony Hill back. So some people that had two or three guys did work the locker room, and maybe there are some quotes out there from some other people, but Jeff's just on a quote sheet. But I mean, I would have said, Jeff, come on. You're just dismissing game-losing plays. It's all right, except for, that's the Lincoln thing to Mrs. Lincoln. Other than that, how was the play?
How was the play? Jabari Martin, I think this is Jabari, right? Says it's not Simmons' fault. He didn't throw Barton under the bus. What do you make of that?
He didn't have to throw Barton under the bus. He could say we allowed two massive plays that killed us. And those are the plays we have to worry about, not all the good ones. We expect you to make all those plays that you did make, Jeff. You've been telling us what a good defense you are. That's the standard. You have to talk about the two bad ones, not all the good ones.
I do agree that those two plays were clearly they were outlier-ish, if you want to say that. But Drew Lock was 10 of 10 at one point. He was 10 of 10. I don't think his first incompletion came until after 10. Incompletion came after 10 of 10. It was his 11th attempt, I think. And some of that's on the second team defense. But I agree. Kevin Winston, my guy, man. It's the guy I'm rooting for. The guy I think is great and could be good. Really overzealous, shockingly, for a player who plays overzealously all the time. I do think they miss, a couple of the players on defense that weren't out there. I do think that's a factor. We got to think about that.
Sure, but they're going to be injured and they're going to be missing guys along the way and everything, and they got to learn to react to that. Titans Max says here, lack of basic execution and energy from the defense was concerning, and that's what I'm saying. You're playing vanilla. You're not doing your whole deal and everything, but still, that running back, who, by the way, is the fifth running back on their depth chart and who was undrafted second-year guy out of Missouri State or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's right.
And he got through all three levels. By the way, levels are called levels because they're supposed to occupy different levels. And those three levels all sandwiched themselves into what? 4 yards of depth? Maybe? Yeah, not even 5. Once he was through, he was through. You talked about Winston was way too close to the line of scrimmage. Hooker was way too close to the line of scrimmage. And so he's through defensive line, linebackers, and safeties in 4 yards. That's not good.
Yeah, the way the efficiency for a third string and second string quarterback is the question. And so could a vanilla scheme or vanilla offense or first time playing games or strategy in a preseason game be a reason why you're going to give up some efficiency? Sure. But near perfection? I mean, again, Drew Lock was 10 of 10 before an incompletion. Wasn't Rourke 12 of 14?
Yeah.
Passing? I mean, we are talking about like 24 of 26 throwing the football.
And
Like,
guess what
what are
those
we
guys
doing?
are executing? Jabari makes a great point here. Salah acts like only one side's being vanilla. I mean, those
Right.
two quarterbacks are running vanilla offenses against the vanilla defense. And guess what they're doing? They're executing.
All right. Do we want to talk about anything positive at all here? I think
Joey
unless you got,
Sly really has
I
bounced
agree.
back from that scrimmage.
I agree.
I mean, he
I
is
was going to mention that.
crushing the ball.
I do think a few of the offensive linemen are better than we like. I think Latham is still on a positive trajectory, which is
I'm all in on Latham. I've
yeah.
been
I think
saying
that's
that
right.
repeatedly.
Skaronski. I will say this, and this is this isn't good, but it's not bad. That's the best I can do here. um, the fact that you and I don't believe on a single show since Titans training camp has started now through 2 joint practices and 2 games, and I'm not sure I've done this with Nick either on this show. That's like 10 episodes of this show. And I'm not sure one human between the 3 of us has mentioned Dan Moore's name. And the fact that we are not saying his name is probably a very good thing, I would argue.
Well, I think we did say his name, or I did, in the one sense that, boy, all it takes is Carmona to show a little bit well, and they're running right. And throwing Skaronski to the right side. You pointed out the nature of the play. But, Skaronski's your best offensive lineman. You would think they would want to go to his side some, and Moore is maybe such a weakness over there that they'd rather go behind a rookie right guard than a veteran left tackle who's next to their best player who's a guard. So in that regard, I mentioned Dan Moore. But other than that, you're right.
Yeah, I think special teams writ large has been good. I think the starting 5 is in decent shape. You're going to have some growing pains from Carmona. Schlotman might be the weak moment there, but we're not really sure. But I think the other 3 are very stable at this point. I do think that. I mean, maybe we need to talk about Anthony Hill a little bit. It was not in good I mean, we're not talking about real football situations necessarily. 3rd-string quarterback, backup. But he did make a ton of plays. He gets to the quarterback. He gets through the line on a blitz pressure. He makes an interception. He seemed to be very comfortable in the joint practice against Seattle, granted against backups. But I do think Anthony Hill is showing progress, which is good, while Cody Barton it appears to be sort of maybe proving some of the concerns about his game correct, a little slow in the open field. The run fits are a little lacking. Maybe there's more opportunity there for Hill to take a chance or to take some opportunity from Cody Barton if it continues this direction.
Mike Herndon said this, on Twitter. I'd rather see, Hill make that play and make the upside plays while going through some rookie learning curve than watch Barton do what Barton was doing and what Barton's going to do. Now, did it get there? I always think kind of Nate Davis, who was a 3rd-round pick, and they needed 4 games, and they stalled long enough to get him the 4 games, and then he was ready. So, can you maybe take a track like that with Anthony Hill? But I think ultimately going to be better with him than with Barton, who just frustratingly not only has those limitations, but I don't think is really conscious of those limitations. That's the part. Like, at least if he knew, well, I'm not great at this, I need to cheat a little bit and acknowledge it or whatever. But he talks like he's got it all down, which is a little, I don't know if he's masking it or if he's not honest with himself.
Coach B says the Hill looked really good in coverage, but still looks like a rookie against the run. Still a lot of growing to do there. I would argue that's a really positive development because the questions about him coming out of college were about his ability to drop in coverage and manage it. And I think his downhill, down the field attacking mentality should be where he is most comfortable. In general. So if he's got some learning to do about run fits, I think he will gain that quickly because obviously playing next to Cedric Gray, obviously too, you can kind of let Gray take the lead on attacking the football and run downs. Gray also had a pretty good coverage play down the field where he laid out and made a coverage. Might have been PI. I don't know. but
I'm concerned with everybody's coverage, frankly. I mean, I think the best cover guy might be James Williams. And I wouldn't mind seeing him on the field for some coverage plays, some coverage snaps.
Yeah. Daniel says Winston had a secondary leading 77 PFF grade. Interesting that they see something we don't. Look, the interception wasn't I thought that was a terrible call. the illegal
If
hands.
it was what we saw, unless it was earlier in the play, it was a soft call.
No, it was called on his 5 yard off the line of scrimmage,
All right,
and
I didn't see that.
it was even that was just as weak. Like they both kind of they do this, and then he's off of him by like yard 6 or 7. Like it wasn't like it was not close. It was not a bad like it looked like a bad call to me. So Winston's great play on that, where he uses what he does have, which is extraordinary range, to make a play. He goes and makes a really great play, and so that one was totally negated. But I thought that was a bad call. So we'll see. Like I I don't know how many more positives you have, but I do want to.
I know.
I don't think that this sounds crazy because I think most people are disappointed by watching backups perform well on both sides of the ball against the Titans. I don't know if this has changed my opinion about anything. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, I think it does. I think the opinion is the same. I mean, I had a chance to change it for the better, and they didn't. I thought McMurray. I was watching him on that play as the gunner, and he really tore down and did a good job recovering that muff punt. And I thought the 3 takeaways were a nice sign that offset a little bit of the defensive
should have
struggle,
been 4.
but also
Should have
they
been
came
4.
later. Could have had 4.
I think special teams is going to be very good. If Sly has fixed his problems, I think special teams will be very good. Caribbean says Flott was much better last night. Taylor was questionable. Yeah, Taylor, Tony Pollard, he was solid again. I think he didn't get much work.
Didn't do anything. Hey, had 2 carries for 14 yards. I mean, that's fine. It's 2 carries. 33-yard catch and run is good. But I don't think somebody up there said he still has juice. I'm not counting on Tony Pollard to have juice. His long run of the season is going to be 40 yards and an outlier.
Yeah, the call on Flott was crazy, which was the interception that Winston came up with, and he was called for illegal contact outside of 5 yards. It just wasn't. It looked like football. I'm okay with that. Coach B says Salah's D is highly dependent on pre-snap disguises that he's not going to implement in preseason. I think you can only
implemented them on Friday, according to Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and they looked much better. So again, I think you do have to. This is one of those where I think you file all of this stuff into the database of information, and you say, "Look, man, they played up too far against San Francisco in coverage in practice. They got beat over the top. They played way back, almost like a safe shell zone in the game. Got beat underneath. They mixed it up and added a bunch of stuff and wrinkles to the defense and played much better against Sam Darnold in practice, and then went back to maybe being basic in the game. Like I don't know how much we can change our opinions, and I don't know.
I think this boils down to we don't know what they're going to look like against the Jets, but it better be better than what it's been.
Yeah,
I came across a good film guy on Twitter or Instagram or somewhere who showed like 4 snaps of the Jets maybe in their second preseason game, and he was like, hey, this Jets defense is a lot better. Here's what they did to fix this problem and look at it work. Here's what they did to fix that problem and look at it work. And I thought, oh shit. If the Titans
they got to beat the Jets.
Aren't ready for these things and can't win that first game, it's really going to be a problem.
The over-under win total, according to a quick GTS Gemini,
5.5 is my
Gemini. It says 6.5 according to this one. At 6.5, I would not know what to bet. At 5.5, I think I would take the over.
Yeah, because 6 is probably.
No, if it was 5, I would take 6 wins. I think, but I don't think anything that I've seen so far in practice or in these games has changed my opinion on that. Are you starting to feel a certain way? Is this team closer to 3 wins? Like, is that where we need to be in terms of concern?
I'm trying not to let these preseason outings over influence my opinion of the team, but it is got some counterweight to the practices. Can't help it. They should be better. They should be better in these games than they've been based on what I've seen in practice.
How much difference was the practices San Francisco to Seattle? How were they both?
I thought the offense was better against Seattle by a significant margin. Crisper, more precision, better execution.
I mean, they ran the ball well against San Francisco in the game. and in the practice, and then ran the ball well against. I mean, 3 out of 4 times they ran the ball well. Then in the game, Carmona gets blown up and they get stopped on a 4th down. Like, which one is it? It feels like the other 3 are more the real thing than.
It doesn't make a lot of sense that they were as good as they were in the practice against the first team and as bad as they were in the game against the second team.
What do you suppose that is?
I don't know.
I would argue they didn't try to run the football much. They threw a lot of passes on even short downs. They threw a lot of passes. They were in 3rd and long a lot. I think maybe the game. I think they ran the ball well in the first game. They ran the ball on Friday, and I'm curious if Dayball and Salah said we need to get Cam Ward some more work. That's how it felt to me. Like, oh, Pollard picked up 9 yards on the first play. They got a first down running the football. Then Pollard catches a pass on 3rd and 5, and which is, by the way, was incredibly well-timed throw and design of the play. Cam in rhythm. Like, after that, they didn't really go to the running game with Pollard at all. So, like, it feels like maybe they were –
Or Spears.
Hey, we're good on this. Let's get Cam some more work. He ended up, I think he ended up 8 of 12, I think, on the day.
Yeah. Go to Ed Henry there. He's got a good question.
Ed says, what is the value of playing starters with no scheming? What exactly are they learning from such a vanilla basic look with the starters?
Pace, rhythm, and execution, I would argue, and the execution hasn't been good enough. I mean, should be able to execute some straightforward plays against another vanilla defense, right? That's my thinking.
Well, is like a quick 2-step, 3-step drop fire to Wan'Dale Robinson for 5 yards on first down? Is that not doing the basic foundational execution? Isn't that what that is?
Yeah, but the things that you're building off of that, and a couple of those balls that you're talking about were not executed seamlessly because that receiver was turning or prevented from catching the ball in stride to get maximum yak.
We did not talk there. Maybe we need to go a little bit deeper on Cam here because I thought the 2 to Wan'Dale and the 1 to Bellinger over the middle were like, he's just very comfortable between the hashes. He always has been. I think those are pretty good throws. There were the pup disagrees.
Yeah.
There were 3 times where he did, maybe it was 4 times where he did the special Cam Ward thing. One is where he rolls all the way out to the right and does end up completing a pass to Io Manor on the sideline for like 3 yards. Then there was the one where he rolls around and makes the great play to Helm, and Helm should have made the play. That's a professional athlete, got to make that play. And then there's the one where he scrambles out immediately because he gets pressure from Surratt and just doesn't know that he's back there, and the ball gets knocked away. We did not talk about that play much, so maybe we need to touch on that.
2 games in a row with a bad play like that where he just doesn't seem conscious enough of what's going on around him. I think he thinks he's a better athlete than he is. And, those are a step short of Will Levis catastrophes. Last week's, it winds up incompletion, but it's an intentional grounding, which is one of the harsher penalties there is. But a little bit more from the Niners and it's fumble and maybe a fumble that's returned for a touchdown. This one, if that ball somehow spins and stays in bounds, it could be a lost possession. Got to be better with that stuff. Don't like it. Makes me uncomfortable. I think it makes everybody uncomfortable.
Let's see here. 4-6 seems to be right. 4-6 wins from Mason. PX says 1 injury in the offensive line and they're cooked. Coach B says 30% chance that both OTs start all 17 games in the NFL. I don't know if that's a factual number there if you did the research on that, but I guess that sounds about right. Do you guys have a grade, says a Fiji? Do you have a grade for Cam Ward and for the offense through 2 games? How would you C? A C?
I don't grade.
B- for the offense, C+ for Cam Ward. Like I don't they're preseason games. I don't know how much they matter. I do think the Tate conversation is worth having as well. Jordan says it did feel like they wanted to get Tate some touches, but couldn't make it happen. That's 0 catches in 2 games for your number 4 overall pick, who's been very good in practice.
Salah said you could scheme to get anybody catches. We're not doing that. I don't know why. I'm not saying build the whole game around scheming to get guys catches, but I'm saying I think it's a mistake in 3 series not to make sure that he gets a catch, to kind of tone this conversation down and to give him a little boost.
I'm not worried about it at all, but if he has like 3 targets and 1 catch in his debut against the Jets, people are gonna go back to this. Now, one of them was his fault. He dropped it. Like, he dropped the pass. He's got to make that catch if you're the number 4 pick. And I just think patience is okay, and development and foundation building and all this stuff. But as Nick said on Friday's show, like, they've kind of already built the foundation, like with the 2 draft classes and Cam Ward. Like, they've already built the foundation. They just have to now be good. Like, they have to develop. They've got an edge rusher. They've got a linebacker. They've got a safety. They got a receiver. They got a quarterback. They got a right tackle. They got a guard. Like, they've got all the pieces they drafted. They just now need to – they got to – Femi hasn't done it. Like, they've got to develop the pieces that they've drafted in the last 2 draft classes. So,
agreed.
I'm worried more about the defense. Says Swedish dance party. Love that. Levis is too tight. Cam Ward is too loose. I think that's probably about right. Let's see here. Does Saleh use the I don't want to give away scheme as a cover to not answer certain questions, or is that a valid response? I feel like he rests between Vrabel and Callahan when it comes to divulging info. That from Jordan. Good to see you, Jordan.
He's very open with info. Like on this Winston Alante Taylor botch up on the touchdown pass, he said he doesn't want to give away scheme. Well, it's pretty clear that Winston should have gone with the tight end and Taylor should have stayed in on a non-tight end. I don't think you're giving away much information on that, but every coach has his quirks on what he'll talk about schematically and what he won't. And so there we see one of his first ones. I don't think there's a great mystery to it, however.
Do you remember, and maybe this is impossible, maybe all things have happened in NFL training camps, but you've covered this team now celebrating 30 years, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you remember a training camp or a team or a player that was either incredibly good and you thought everything you had seen in training camp lended itself to think, man, this guy's going to be excellent, or this unit's going to be good, and they just weren't? It was bad, or vice versa. Do you have a year where you remember a team being, pushed around in the preseason? They didn't play well in the games. They didn't look good against backups, and then all of a sudden it literally was just preseason. Or is every year just an example of how you have no predictability on any of this stuff in the preseason?
I think it's mostly the latter. But I think if you go back to 2021 as the most recent receiver example, Marcus Johnson was very good. And who was the other guy? Who was also a special teamer receiver that was very good.
21?
The second guy had 30 catches on the season. Marcus Johnson had 7 and got hurt very quickly. And they both had terrific training camps. I mean, there was nothing fake about them, but
Chester Rogers?
Chester
right?
Rogers.
Okay.
There's nothing fake about their very good training camps, but this is one of the things that convinces me, particularly at receivers, that big training camps for receivers don't mean shit. And that it's the catch in November from your 4th guy that determines whether you're deep or not. And, when Nick Williams drops the ball in Buffalo, that's what tells you if you have depth at receiver or not. And more often than not, the Titans haven't had it.
I'm going back and looking real quickly. They totally dominated Atlanta and Tampa in 2021 in the preseason, and then they got beat by the Bears. But it's like there's no way to know.
But it's not just that they played
good.
well. I mean, there are a lot of guys that put up preseason numbers that are just putting up preseason numbers because they're getting a lot of snaps and the quarterbacks are throwing a lot of balls. Johnson and Rodgers were really good every day of training camp.
Mason Kinsey had 51 yards and 56 yards in 2 back-to-back games, led the team in receiving in 2021. Yeah. By the way, is Hank Beatty going to take Mason Kinsey's job?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how these guys feel about Kinsey, and I don't know how Hank Beatty is on special teams.
Well, he's returning. He's got some returnability. So.
Mason, yeah, but returnability isn't what they need. They're pretty good at returner.
Okay.
So.
Julius Chestnut, preseason Hall of Famer. There you go.
Julius Chestnut, played very well last night, and he's not a bad guy to have around. He's not a bad guy to have around your practice squad, quite frankly.
I wouldn't be surprised if they kept more running backs than we think. Like if we're
Well,
looking, if they don't have to keep extra receivers, for example,
yeah.
or they don't have offensive linemen that are worth keeping.
Everybody's square health wise at running back, I mean, you obviously got Pollard and Spears and Singleton are on the roster. How much do they feel invested in Mullings, and where do you go from there? I mean, I think you can get Dearness Johnson on your practice squad, and he's looked pretty good since he's arrived again against third stringers mostly. Michael Carter, I think, is a good back to have on your practice squad. These guys are options to replace Pollard or Spears if they get hurt. I think Carter would have the leg up there. Mullings is a very narrow niche back. And so unless he's killing it on special teams, I don't think you're desperate for him to be on your roster.
I think he and Chestnut are battling for the special teams back role. And,
fourth.
And at 4, and I do think that they're both good at special teams. Chestnut's excellent, and I think they keep 4 though. I think it's a very real possibility.
Well, I think Chestnut would be the 4th to me because of the special teams. Yeah. I think we've dropped off the Bryce Oliver talk because I think the gap between 5th and 6th wide receiver is significant, but Bryce Oliver continues to be their top gunner. And if Fossil, is listing his top special teams guys that are on the fringe, and he's got Bryce Oliver there, well, Bryce Oliver can make the roster more as a special teamer than as a 6th wide receiver.
Yeah. Get Mason Kinsey a pension and a flight too. I don't even know how to say that. Zia Tanejo, is that right? Here's what I was thinking about this because Kinsey got hurt like running a warm up route, or he was angry at himself. No, he got hurt blocking in team. Got just pancaked by a linebacker, I think. And he was kind of jogging around. He was fine. He's jogging around afterward the next couple of practices. But I just was thinking, like, that dude has made a pretty good living and played in the NFL and never really been close to making an actual roster out of training camp.
No.
And he probably makes a
pension.
He's probably making what, like $15K a week, $16K a week.
NFL pension, which is remarkable achievement.
I try to think through like the amount of work you have to do to kind of be around as long as he has to maximize his abilities, even if he's just on scout team every year, which again, when you're a rookie is like what, 12, 13 grand a week. And when you're a veteran, it's like 16, 18 grand a week. He's been around a long time, got a pension. That guy's making like $200K a year just being a scout team receiver, and probably, I think he's played in a handful of NFL games. Like, give the guy some credit, man. He's busted his ass to get here.
Bill Dance wants to know about Femi's injury. Falk's injury. If you don't mention the injury every 5 minutes, it's not been spoken about. It's spoken about this morning on Twitter. He said it's day to day. He's not going to be back this week, but he'll be ready for the preseason. And that's you not following what's said about him, not us not speaking about him frequently enough. Sorry.
Any other injuries are you concerned about? The team seems relatively healthy.
I think they're pretty healthy.
Yeah, I think pretty good. Mason Kinsey, let's see here. 25 games played in his career. There you go.
Well, you think that's a lot, but then it's over 8 years, 7 or 8 years.
That's right.
Legit.
He did play, and he played 10 of them last year. He played 10. I didn't know I forgot he played 10 games last year.
And when he was called on, most crucially, he failed. Remember, he had that one ball where he was kind of running,
and he like twisted
backwards, sideways.
He had a career high 4 targets.
Just said he was vested. Daniel, are you watching the show or not?
You didn't use the word vested, Paul. 4 targets.
Pension. If you have your pension, you're vested.
I know. 4 targets, 2 receptions, career high 48 yards. This is the Mason Kinsey stat line episode. Okay, check out Sinkers Beverages, please. They are a great, wonderful, and amazing local sponsor. That is an organization that has been serving the community for over 40 years. And look, they just got great selection. They got a great, knowledgeable staff. They're going to take care of you guys. They are committed to teams and the community like the Titans and the Predators. They're big supporters of local small businesses like mine and like Paul's. So you guys should all be good supporters of them. You can get all of the fantastic and excellent local beers in that award-winning craft beer fridge right there on the right when you walk in. It's just big and beautiful. There's all kinds of cold beer in there, but in particular, you can get some local Nashville beer, which is also good to support local business. East Nashville Beer Works, for example, is another good one, so check them out as well. So lots of really good stuff at Sinkers. Please support them. They are an excellent part of the community, have been for over 40 years. And if you're north of town, if you're in Goodlettsville or Madison or Gallatin or Hendersonville, you've got Bluegrass Beverages, which is their sister store right up there in downtown. They've been around for over 50 years. So almost 100 years of serving Middle Tennessee. Please go check them out. You can also search Uber Eats and have the booze delivered directly to your house. So there's a good reason to hang around. What do you expect to see this week? We got practice, on Tuesday, and then there's joint practice on Thursday, and then you're back on the field against the Bears over the weekend. What do you expect to see, PK, since you and I will get back together on Monday next week?
Tuesday's going to be light. Thursday, hope to see continued progress. The practices have been better than the games, as we've discussed pretty thoroughly here. So
I think that's what you want.
Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams presents, different challenges than they've seen so far. And the Bears are a different kind of team. So this has been a nice mix. 49ers and Seahawks and Bears and three good teams. I mean, they haven't had a crap team they're not crossing paths with a crap team here in the preseason. So I think that's good. Another challenge, not another letdown. He's going to play guys again. There's no indication that Saleh's changing from what he said during OTAs about intending to play everybody in every game. So presuming you're healthy, I think you're going to play on Saturday evening. Nice scheduled time, 5 p.m., reasonable for everyone, right? And then comes a tough 2 weeks. That first week of that, after cuts, at least they get down to 53. Hopefully the locker room doors open, but then some mandated time off before we get into regular season rhythm. So it's kind of hurry up and wait, but we'll find out a lot more about their intentions. Back end of the roster still, the Key Drain Calligans and the Brookses, and I'm bringing up back end of defensive backs, but that's a spot where there are a lot of decisions, and we'll find out about Chestnut and Mullings and guys like that. It's time for us to know some of those things.
It is very good that the 2 times we would point to this team being at its best were in joint practices with Seattle and San Francisco. If that continues again this week, and they struggle in the game, but the thing we remember about a week against the Bears is a successful and productive practice against them on Thursday, I think that is still what you wanted from your preseason is, hey, when facing – not on film, not on the game. When you're faced with 1v1s, they held their own. And maybe it doesn't translate to wins, but I think that's a good sign. So we'll see about Thursday. There's no question about that. Bill says somebody pissed in PK's Cheerios this morning.
Well, I don't know this banter that's going back and forth and who Daniel's responding to, which is explaining now, which I don't really care about. But I hate when people tell me things that I've reported. That Kinsey's vested, which nobody would have known unless I had done a story about Kinsey getting vested, and then people tell me like it's news. It's frustrating. He's vested? Where'd you hear about that? Oh, I wrote a story about it last year.
Bustin, make sure you come say hello. We'll be walking around out there on Thursday, so make sure you say hello. He says I'm going to be out at practice on Thursday. I know a handful of you guys stopped us. I know, PK, you're talking to fans all the time. I know you also had a run-in with T-Rack, which is great. You didn't make the final cut. You didn't make.
I
the
do
final
have
cut.
Tape of it. I should put it out.
Nothing happened. They posted their video of him talking about Jimothy to all these people, and it's like nothing happened in the video.
Who cares about Jimothy?
Yeah, nothing happened.
Sometimes they swing and they miss so badly.
But when a Hall of Fame voter tries to stick you in a trash can, like, you got to put that on socials, man. Like, what are we doing?
It was great. It was like Adam Sandler when he's trying to get the golf ball to go home. I was like, go home. And I was leading him to the trash can. I took the lid off for him. And what happened, I don't know if you caught this. What happened is he accidentally dropped his roster into the trash can. And I said, yes, the Titans roster may be trash.
This is what you think of the Titans roster? I mean, the woman was standing there. I don't know her name, but she was standing there filming the whole thing. Didn't get used. It hit the floor, hit the editing floor, man.
I said you should have
Bummer.
given me a heads up, and I would have given you something that you might have used, but they wanted natural, and they got natural. And
Go to your home. Go to your trash can. Your trash can's right there. The official state animal of Tennessee.
Jeez, such a stupid state animal.
They're very smart, actually. Like crows and pigs, like the nastiest animals, are all like incredibly intelligent. They don't forget. They don't forget.
That raccoon, T-Rack, is not smart.
Ooh, ouch. Ouch.
It used to have a big head where at least he could have a big brain, but now they've shrunken his head.
Well, raccoons are great. I've never seen a brown raccoon in the wild. Like I've seen
T-Rack,
only.
it made him unique.
I've seen
The
only
last
gray ones.
link to the old Titans. They've completely washed away that team.
Oh, last one.
If Steve McNair came back from the dead, he wouldn't recognize him.
Here's the thing. Let me ask you about this. How did it all look in the stadium? All the new logos and the new, like I was there obviously for the Friday night thing.
I mean, it was there for the scrimmage. I mean, they change what they put around the wall of the bowl every year, and they did a nice job repainting the stuff that's visible. But I also wrote a story. The stadium elsewhere is a mix of what they call the vintage logo now and the new, and you would expect it to be so. And then a lot of people posted on my story like it's ridiculous. They should have waited till next year to change. That's silly because the new building is branded all over with the new logo, and so you want them to try to keep it a secret with all these thousands of people working construction and design and on suites and stuff to keep the new logo a secret. It was never going to happen. So this is a natural crossover year. There's no issue with their timing. It makes perfect sense. And to say this building represents the transition from one to the other makes perfect sense and is understandable.
I thought the uniforms looked great. I think
the uniforms look sharp.
I think the helmets look really.
If you like the Oilers.
Which I think those uniforms are far better. But that, again, I'm not a diehard Titans fan, so I will admit that I'm not the target demo on this, old or new. Just from a brand perspective, I think they look great, and a football fan, I think they look great. I will say, I think watching the game though on TV at home with all the new stuff, which does feel to some degree like it does feel temporary. And part of it's because I know the new building's coming, and part of it's because I know that they had to just quickly figure out ways to cover up old logos, right? And so you can't really, it's not going to be baked into the DNA of the building the way it is in the new one. Yeah. And I the first few minutes of that game came on, the first few minutes I felt like I go, man, I sure hope they get to this stadium pretty quickly because it just felt second rate.
Well, there's a schedule for it. It's next year.
Yeah, I know. Maybe that was an odd way for me to word it. I just was watching going like, oh, this feels like it gets the sixth broadcast team from CBS on Sunday at noon. No, you know what I'm saying? Like it just
the quality of the football.
The building just doesn't. It just doesn't feel. I mean, this is why they're building a new state. This is all normal stuff. I just was watching it going like, this is not very nice.
The funniest thing to me about the rebrand is how many people who don't like it pine for navy blue. And it's just weird to me to pine for the color navy blue. Like of all the color, like you could take navy blue out of the color palette for me. And I'm a Yankee fan. And I don't think I'd be like, oh my God, the navy blue is gone. Like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to go on without navy blue. I mean, it's just like everybody wears navy blue. So for you to be like, oh, they took away navy blue. Where am I going to? You could flip to any game and find somebody wearing navy blue.
But also they did not technically remove navy blue from the color palette. It's still in there for 10%.
There's a string that's navy
blue. But if you
blue.
if you want to buy gear, dude, there's a gazillion hats and sweatshirts and jerseys that are all navy blue.
On their boys. They want it on their boys.
You can get the navy blue logo with the old school, like the new version of the old, like the T and the N with inside the football. Like those are on navy blue everywhere.
That logo is a force.
It's a little forced, but I do like what they're going for. I knew what they're going for.
They went for it, but they missed.
Maybe that's right. Jess says the unis did look good, but man, I just blow up Adelphia Coliseum ASAP, which they can't do, by the way. They have to take it down piece by piece, so it's going to take forever.
But you can't have your seat.
Titans
You can
diehards
have a
weren't
seat for $1,000, but you can't have your seat.
Titans diehards weren't the demo for it either. That's funny. The old
Rival
unis-
uniforms, Mason points out, will have Navy, but people still won't be happy.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, to have a rivalry uniforms this year after a uniform redesign is just so stupid.
Yeah,
And those come out tomorrow.
Oh, do they really? Okay, all right. There we go. I'm sure they'll be all over the practice field. Okay. Check out paulkuharsky.com. Check out Sinkers Beverages. Check out all the other great shows across the 440 Sports Network. We got a new Club and Country episode up today already, breaking down 2 incredible stoppage times wins by Nashville SC. So make sure you check that out. Wednesday and Saturday, great performances. I am now. I thought the game was on Sunday coming up. I am now immediately trying to figure out how I'm going to get my entire family in and out of Bridgestone Arena at about 8 o'clock on Saturday. But at least it's a preseason game, so maybe
Chelsea's kicking off right now to beat Fulham.
Oh, go watch Anthony Robinson. There you go. All right. For Paul and Braden, thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. We will talk to you next time.
Cheerio.